Question number 9, how do I look for a home? This is 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. How do I look for a home? You can either do it with an agent or without an agent. When you're looking for a home without an agent, there are only 2 ways to look for a home there as well. First off, there's for sale by owners. There's only 2 reasons for somebody, an owner, to choose going for sale by owner. This individual believes that they can handle the process. They've seen some things on TV. They've heard some things online. They also have had bad experiences in the past that cloud their judgment around the real estate transaction. It's also likely that the property is very expensive. So if you have a $2 million home and you're looking at saving some money, you don't want to pay an agent potentially $60,000. So you do it yourself. You go at it by yourself. That's another reason to save money. Now, when you're looking at for sale by owners, this is from the buyer's perspective. You want to know that this is a limited inventory. National Association of Realtors does studies on an annual basis that says less than 10% of properties sell through for sale by owner. Another reason why you even want to consider looking at for sale by owner properties is tied to the fact that some buyers think that they can get a better deal by going directly to the owner. They believe they can just cut that person out of the transaction and they will save that money. The problem with that strategy is that you can't save the same dollar twice. So if the seller started to sell their property because they wanted to save money and you are also trying to save that same dollar, so that's impossible. One of you has to decide who will not save money on this transaction, and usually that is going to be the buyer, because we also find that a seller who is going for sale by owner usually is financially incentivized to do so. If you do find yourself in a for sale by owner situation, make sure you do a very thorough walkthrough. The walkthrough, or when you initially see the interior of the property, is going to be a little challenging because the owner of the property will be monitoring you, or at least talking to you, chatting you up, selling you on the property while you're looking at it. That's a little weird, and it's just something to expect if you go for for sale by owner, the for sale by owner route. But you can't get distracted here. You can't get distracted. If you're looking at a for sale by owner property, you want to make sure that you're making notes of everything that would cause you not to purchase the property. Next up, you want to make sure that you get yourself a home inspection, and more importantly, that the home is contingent on the property appraising. It's very often that a for sale by owner will list their property at a inflated value, and the only thing that's going to protect you in that scenario is the appraisal contingency. Last up, if you're dealing with for sale by owners, is to get an attorney to draft your contract. In Northern Virginia, you have to go through a title company or at least a intermediary to complete all of the documents. Several of the local title companies will facilitate and review the contract that you place on the property. It makes sense for you to at least consider talking to an attorney before you place your offer. A lot of the attorneys don't, or closing companies don't market that they have this service. And I know from experience that these closing companies have to walk consumers who go at it alone through this process. So check with your closing company. Now, where would you find for sale by owner properties? There's really 3 places right now. One of them is the place you're going to find the most, and then the others are becoming less and less more important. First off is Zillow. Zillow has a lion's share of for sale by owner properties because they offer the user the opportunity to connect with all of the Zillow users. Next up, you have Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Craigslist is still pretty popular for the for sale by owner community. If you're on Craigslist, then you tend to skew to a more older audience. Older people are less receptive to newer modes of marketing properties. That was the first way that you would buy a property without an agent. The second way is new construction. So you would go through a builder or developer. Now, why would you do this? Why would you go directly to a builder or developer without an agent? Again, same reason as the for sale by owner. You believe that you can save money. Next up is an actual logical reason, or a reason that makes sense, is actually more time consuming to actually use an agent to look at a lot of new construction properties, because you will need to schedule this around both parties' schedules. The challenge with this is if you go into a new construction construction property by yourself, even if you have a buyer's agency agreement, you may not be able to use your agent on that purchase. If you're not able to use your agent on that purpose, that means that now you have the builder versus you, and the builder has a whole team of individuals who are trained on real estate sales. So you're a little outmatched in that regards. That's why we always let our clients know, if you're going to go see new construction properties, let us know. We're full-time real estate agents, so we can be available for your property tours. With the commission that's attached to the new build, a lot of buyers don't know that builders already have offered or made available a commission that's set aside for the buyer's agent. It doesn't increase the price of the property. There isn't a bill that's going to be due on your end. It is something that's already included in the builder's expenses. The builder would love for you not to use a real estate agent's services because they get to pocket more money. Some builders will even say, if you don't use an agent, nothing will change about the price. They're accurate. They're accurate. You will pay the same amount of money and they will actually make more money because there's no more expense in that regard. If you're going to be going through new construction process without an agent, keep in mind you want to review the contract, and you cannot trust the salesperson. Whatever they say, they're trying to get you to sign a contract. So you want to make sure that anything they say or they promise you is in writing. Everything has to be in writing, preferably in the contract. Again, if you choose to purchase a new construction property without an agent, make sure you do your home inspections. The minimum number of home inspections you should do is 2. The first home inspection you should do is a pre-drywall home inspection. This is before they put the walls in the building, right? So you just have studs, you have wires, you have plumbing. That's what you want to get to first. Next up is your next time to do a home inspection is your final walkthrough. Before your final walkthrough, the builder's going to let you know probably like 3 to 4 weeks before the completion of the project that you can do a walkthrough inspection. Schedule that with a home inspector because the home inspector is trained to look for and test everything. I've been in business 14 years and I don't have a system that's as rigid as a home inspector to check all of the systems. Next up is you want to make sure at the final walkthrough, you are super picky. I mean, you are diligent. I mean, you get your magnifying glasses out and you make sure everything that should be done is done. You make sure that all of the work that should have smooth edges is smooth. The rough edges are rough. Your appliances are in immaculate condition because this is your last time to really negotiate before signing the document. And once you sign or you close on your new construction property, the builder is less incentivized to listen to anything you have to say. The next way you can find properties is through a real estate agent. I'm a real estate agent. We actually have a link in the description or the bio for you to start the home buying process with our company. You can schedule a time to meet and we will be happy to answer any and all of your real estate questions. But let's talk about what is the purpose of using a real estate agent. Real estate agents act more like project managers than consultants. And what I mean by that is in the real estate process, there are several different parties that have different deliverables that are tied to your successful transaction. There are also deadlines that are also important that we make, right? That we don't miss. And there are just assets that need to be moved around and managed throughout the entire process. That is what your real estate agent will do. When it comes to commission, I know that this is an important part for especially first-time home buyers who have not been in a commission relationship with anyone at this time. The commission has already been negotiated between the seller and the seller's agent. That commission agreement does not, on a normal basis, that commission agreement does not state that if you go directly to the listing agent that you will save any money. That commission agreement usually says that the commission is X amount of dollars, regardless of the number of agents involved. So that's why it benefits you to get your own representation. Agents also act as extra eyes on the transaction. When you're walking through a property, it's very easy to get emotional about the transaction, about the process. Finding a home that you feel comfortable spending $400,000 to $2 million on is emotional. You could find yourself getting wrapped up into the whole process. So it's good to have somebody on your team who is not a party to the transaction, walking you through the process. Another thing that agent does for you is they guide you through the entire process. From the beginning, which is getting yourself prepared to purchase, until the end, which is you moving into the property, the agent will educate you about the current market conditions, the steps to buying a home, how to handle communication with lenders, title companies. They'll make sure that everyone that is supposed to be around is around. That's what a good agent should do. Last up, the agent provides you with access to the MLS. This is important because the consumer side of the MLS is really more a gallery of home where you get to see properties that are in various conditions and you get to learn about what the interior looks like. One of the things that makes the agent side of the MLS a little bit different is that we have extended searchability, which leads us to an important part of the process, which is comparable market analysis, also known as CMA. This is not an appraisal, but this is an analysis that tells you what other people have paid for similar properties, and it helps you to know if you're overpaying for a property. This is one of the reasons why it's important to use a real estate agent even on a for sale by owner property, because your buyer's agent can let you know what other people have paid for that type of property in the past. This past data is crucially important to positioning yourself appropriately in the market and protecting you from not overpaying. What are the pros and cons for using the internet through your home search? You get the opportunity to research the location. This is a very common thing that people use our channels for. So we have a TikTok channel and we also have a popular YouTube channel, and it's very common for us to receive interest or new inquiries because people are doing their research and they come across our channel, and we like to perform research on the area. Next up, you get to learn about school. With schools, there are different ways you can learn about schools. One, you could look at ratings. The second way is to actually look at reviews. With reviews, just keep in mind that reviews are hard to determine the validity of the review, because usually if people have had a bad experience or a great experience, those are really the only two times people leave reviews. The people in the middle who have like a meh experience don't really say much because they had just a average, met their expectation experience. When it comes to ratings, there are 3 sites that our clients enjoy using that can help them find out whether or not a school is a good school. The first up and the most popular, I would say, is greatschools.org. Next up is niche.com. Lastly is School Digger. The next thing you could do on the internet when you're conducting your home search is you can learn about the demographics of the neighborhood. Last up for your internet search is you can shop for a lender. I think this is one of the more useful advantages to the internet age of home shopping, is that when you're looking for a lender, it's hard to know if a lender is a good lender, or it's oftentimes you're recommended the lender. Like, we recommend lenders to people on a regular basis, and usually when somebody uses the lender that we recommend, they really don't know anyone else. So the internet provides individuals an opportunity to diversify the number of professionals they use, which I think is a huge benefit. Now, there's 2 cons to using the internet when you're doing your home search. One, that using the internet does not replace driving or walking the neighborhood. There is something about putting your eyes on the community that gives you a different type of feedback that just seeing it online just doesn't. Also, usually the photos you see online are the ones that the agent selected to position the community in its best light. So this isn't a good representation of the actual community. Next up, the internet is a place that's full of information, which means that it's easy to become overwhelmed with so much info. it's hard to discern between what is useful information and also how is this relevant to my home search. It's especially in Northern Virginia, because Northern Virginia is, I would say, a homogeneous location where a lot of the areas kind of look the same. So because of that, it's challenging to say I like this area versus I like that area, because they're kind of the same. They offer you similar rated schools, you have a similar commute. What do you do in that scenario? I think this is where you become overwhelmed and the internet can be seen as a con. Last thing I want to talk to you all about is buying a home sight unseen. Because you're searching for homes and you are either going to be doing it without an agent, but most likely with an agent, it's also likely that you're moving here from another location or another region. You may think to yourself, you know what, I'm going to buy a home without seeing it, because maybe you don't have the time to do a buying trip. Maybe the market is so hectic that even if you came in town for a buying trip, you wouldn't find any properties. Or you came in town, you found a property, but you weren't able to win a property. Everybody can't be doing buying trips every week. So it comes a point that they say to us, you know what, Abraham, I'm just going to buy a home sight unseen. I want to give you 3 things you should do if you're going to buy a home sight unseen. The first step is to get fully approved. You want to get fully approved because the lag time between you communicating to the lender and us putting in an offer could determine if you're successful at securing a property. The next thing is you want to have your agent, whoever you use. If you use our services, we offer video tours of both the exterior and interior of the property. This is almost like a guided tour. I will say it's a little on the negative side because I want to position the property in a negative light and for you to see everything that you would see in person that's wrong. You want your agent to give you this video context because this will help you to understand the interior of the property. Preferably, you want the agent to comment about the property. You want to instruct them, tell me everything that's wrong with the property. Everything you see that's a problem, tell me that it's a problem. Get this on video. We don't need photos anymore. This book recommended photos, but it's a little dated, and I understand. The last thing you want to consider when you're buying a home sight unseen is that you must get a home inspection. The home inspector is a individual who's not tied to the performance of the property. What I mean by that is your buyer's agent is going to make a nice commission off of the sale of this property. That commission could cloud their judgment in their representation of you. The home inspector isn't, though. The home inspector just gets paid and they're out of there. They give you your report, they're out of there. Even if they do a walk and talk inspection, they're out of there. They get their money. They just want to present their information and then get out of there. Whereas your real estate agent, especially if you're doing a sight unseen transaction, they know that you're dependent on them. They know that they can actually take advantage of you just to get their commission. I'm not saying that people are doing this. I'm just saying that you want to be cautious about the level of trust you put into these professionals and to protect yourself. So that's it. This was question number 9. How do I look for homes? I hope you enjoyed this session. We're coming back every day at 8 p.m. to answer one new question from 1,000 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. This is a great book for us to kind of make this information local, make it relevant, and to help you all through your real estate transactions.